everyone, I have been asked to do a video from this book, Walk in the Woods by Leila Duly. It is a very lovely book and all her drawings are pretty realistic, I think, more so than some other authors, which I rather like. I'm just adjusting a little bit. Now I picked this picture because I think it is adorable and I hope that you agree. I'm going to come in so you can have a proper look at it. Let's try and put it somewhere near the middle. There we go. So it's nearer to the back of the book. So we obviously have our little mouse with our blackberries. Now I've looked up in the back, it does tell you what the pictures are of, and these are elder. Now elderberries are dark black like blackberries. Actually they could be raspberries, but I'm going to colour them like blackberries because that's what I like. So I might colour these as rowan berries in an orange rather than black. I'm just going to check. In the back it's quite handy, it's got a little picture, tells you. It says bramble, so that's blackberry. So anyway, that's my thought about it. So it's, as I say, it's quite small, but I'm going to have a good time and bring you along for the ride. So I'm using Polychromos because I put a couple of pieces of paper behind here. Yeah, these are scrap paper that I've been playing with. It doesn't fit behind the whole page because this is a really large size book, but it will work because of it being a small picture. If you were doing a larger size page, you might have to find some bigger paper to put behind. Now I've grabbed my May green and I'm going to use this as a base for a lot of my leaves and branches. So I'm just going to start colouring. Now the paper in this book is lovely. Now this is a different publisher to Leila Duly's Flower Year, which you may have. But her last book, Beautiful Planet, was these publishers as well, and I'm lucky enough to have a copy of that one as well. But the pictures, they were a lot more complex pictures, should we say, a lot more detail. I sometimes find it difficult to pick out quite what's going on in this sort of area. On this particular picture, it's reasonably good, but on some of her pictures I find it a little bit tricky. So I sort of haven't done that much in that book, but this one, it's partly because because of the theme, the woodland theme, I sort of understand what's going on, what colours I should be doing and that sort of thing, so that helps me. I'm thinking these leaves we could do as elder, just this top bit here, but they do look the same as these, so I'm not sure. I'm going to avoid it at the minute and think about it. So because yes, I'm more familiar with what the, I didn't have to go and look up what this would look like. Not that you have to anyway, because you can of course use your imagination, do whatever you like. I've been to an art exhibition this morning by one artist, a solo exhibition, and her overriding theme was clouds, but the art that we bought, none of it was grey or blue, or pink or yellow. It was pink. It was like salmon pink and bright pink and green and things like that. It was very much not traditional colours. Now it's odd because my husband thought it was strange because I like them. Now I don't like modern art normally, but these were, the reason I don't like some modern art is because it looks like no effort has gone into it, and that makes me a bit sad and a little bit annoyed at the cost that it can be considering the little amount of effort. But that wasn't the case here. You could see the effort. You could see, particularly in the more expensive larger pieces which were out of our budget, but that's what I enjoyed. That, and also a piece where every time you look, it looks a little bit different. You see something different in it, and that for me is important in a piece of art that I have displayed on my wall. Now when I'm colouring, that isn't what I try and achieve, but perhaps I should. I don't know. But because I'm not designing the picture, it's a little bit different. But anyway, we're going to, there's going to be a lot of similar colours in this picture because of the fact that it's all the same plant, but I love these colours. Now I'm taking a little bit of an artistic license because blackberry leaves tend to be normally a bit darker than this and not really olive green. But this is just my base, my start. I'm just trying to map out where the leaves are and that sort of thing. And then it helps me to think about where to put the darker colour and that sort of thing. And I also feel a lot less daunted. Rather than it being a mass of black lines, it becomes an area of green that I then need to work on. I don't know if that helps other people as well, whether you do a similar thing, whether it's just me, but it just helps me to, once I've sort of established where I'm going to be colouring, it helps me to settle into it a little bit more. It's a very cold, rainy day today. It's, what day is it? 2nd of March, and it snowed this morning. I was saying in an earlier video that we haven't had any snow, I'm not ready for spring, and it snowed. Got up this morning, there was snow on the cars, which was rather exciting. I do get easily excited by snow. I just heard a noise. A beep, I thought. Anyway, I think we're okay. I just wondered if my battery had run out on my camera, but it hadn't. Anyway, it's got plenty, loads of battery and loads of memory, so we're all good. So yes, there was snow on our cars in the street, which was rather nice. And then I popped into town to do shopping. Yeah, I'm done with that. No, I think I'm definitely going to do this bit as well. And there were some cars with much thicker snow on, which I think were had come off the hills. You know, it's always more snow uphill. So yeah, it was rather cool. I thought so anyway. I don't know if everyone else felt the same way. I am going to do this one as a blackberry leaf. So many brambles, blackberry bushes along our canal, and in the summer, well, late summer, see lots of people along there picking. This one. No, I think I'm going to leave that and do those as the rowan or whatever it is I'm going to colour it as. Now, this all looks quite bland. It is. We're going to take a much darker colour now, so I'm going to grab the permanent green olive and we're going to put in a lot of detail. So I'm just going to start with a random leaf here, and I'm going to go right up against the centre here in a little line, and then just spread this colour out, fading as I go, so less, so more layers here, less towards the tip of the leaf, like that, and then the same here. Now, I did a picture with blackberries in from a Colouring Heaven magazine a long time ago, a few years probably. It's called Wildwood Witches, and they had said that I could become an affiliate for them and sent me a couple of free magazines to have a go at, which was very kind of them. And there was one of a fairy, no, a witch, sorry, in some blackberry bushes, and I just had such fun colouring the leaves and the blackberries and things like that. It's lovely fun. And this reminds me, because there was a big stem across the centre, no, across the side of the page, and I had so much fun making it look three-dimensional. I'll try and do the same on this one, but we'll do the leaves first. We'll stick with this. So putting in quite an intense layer near that centre vein, and then less as we come out towards the edge. Like that. We just keep at it all the way through. I don't know why I've always liked colouring blackberries. it's interesting, it's one of my first videos was a blackberry. If you go back through my archives, I didn't speak. It was a weekend, all the family were in the room, so I couldn't speak anyway, and I just filmed it silent, muted the sound, and just did this little blackberry, and that's where my channel began. Can you imagine? That time ago. And I'm so grateful to everybody that has subscribed as I've gone through, and getting close to the 10,000 mark now, which is quite amazing. I know there are much bigger channels, of course there are, but for me, you know, as a personal achievement, it's I'm really pleased, and hoping that you know, I can keep going. But because I really enjoy the teaching side, but you know, I've done teaching before and I really liked it, so it's nice to be able to sort of come back to doing that, but in obviously a very different way. This blackberry's got a bit there that I haven't coloured in yet, a bit of leaf. I'm just going to colour it over in the May green while I notice it. I remember watching this video, and it was a speech by Tim Minchin, comedian, Australian, and he'd been asked to go and speak at a graduation ceremony. I assume it was in Australia. He's Australian, isn't he? Anyway, doesn't matter. And his speech basically said, whatever you do in life, teach. You know, it's really valuable. Teach people. I don't know if he was a teacher or what, I'm not sure. But I thought, wow. And then I thought about it, and I thought, you know, I've done some teaching and I did enjoy it. And I haven't done any for a while, so it sort of partly inspired me to sort of doing it again in this sort of way, which is really good fun, I think. And it's a way that I can reach more people potentially. Like when I was teaching before, I was teaching a class of 10 or one of my class of 30, you know, so it's not very many people at a time. So, and it's a lovely thing to be able to do. And I think we probably do all do it, to be fair. Anyone that's a parent will have taught their children all sorts of things, lots and lots of things, from how to wipe their nose to how to form their letters of their name, to, you know, how to speak and walk, and, you know, parents do a lot of teaching, and I think a lot of time parents don't give themselves credit for that. They work so hard, and, you know, schools get the credit for teaching children, and of course schools work very hard too, but they're there for the academic side of things, whereas parents are there for all the common sense, the social lessons, the sort of growing development skills, all those sorts of things, and some academic stuff too, you know. So I just heard that noise again. I've realised what it is. My husband is watching something in the kitchen. He's cooking and watching a video, and that's what I can hear. It's got music and it keeps making little tinkly noises. So yes, I think most of us do a lot of teaching. But obviously not everyone is a parent, but there is still an element of teaching. So you can see how much difference that has made, just putting that second layer onto our leaves. They look more lively, you know, they've got a bit more shape to them and things like that. But that's not going to be all we do, but that's just our next step. But I am going to do a bit on the stems now. And what I really want to do is to just put a layer out the bottom and fade it a little bit, so we start to get our branch looking a little more three-dimensional. So anyone who doesn't know what a bramble looks like, I'm sort of thinking you probably all do, but just in case, it is rounded, it's very circular in shape. There would be no flat bit, but it is the colour of the leaves. It's not normally brown, and these little bits of prickles on it, it is quite prickly. I'm not sure how to do those, but we'll get there. just putting a little bit more colour along like that. It's just a start, just to get me thinking about the shape and the form, and we'll do the same on the other branches. I might just sharpen my pencil, whoops, and then as I'm doing this, I am thinking a little bit too about the background. You know, we have got quite a lot, we've got some black down here, but the black that's been drawn in, there's a leaf there, I'm going to do that in a minute. The black that's been drawn in is actually our leaves, I think, here and here, that we've got the stems in there. So I don't think we want a black background, and it wouldn't really work with our mouse. You know, why would he be running around in the dark? I'm just going to sharpen my May green and just use it down at the bottom now where I think there's another bit of leaf. Needs a bit more of a sharpen. My sharpener's getting full. So down here that we've got a bit of leaf, just go over that with the May green, and I think those are leaves as well. Oh, and on this one, look. Just helping me to focus on what's going on. So now this one. So again, I'm just going to go around the edge a bit. So where the leaves branch off, I just sort of ignore it really. Now these look slightly more almost silhouetted because they haven't got so much detail on them, but I think we can do them in the same way and it'll work. But maybe this one a bit stronger. Now often a blackberry plant will have a bit of red in it. Not going to go there quite yet, but I will be thinking about putting a bit of red in on the tips of the leaves and things like that. I'm going to go one shade darker first and then think about that. So this is our chrome oxide green, and I'm going to use it right along here, really push it up to the edge of the line where those veins go through, so that they really do look like they're standing up from the leaf. I think it helps to give the leaf some form like that. There we go. I hope you can see the difference between those and these, like that. You can even use a bit of black in there if you're thinking the green isn't quite giving you enough. I think it's probably okay for me, but we'll see as we go on. Also, like under here where this blackberry is on top of the leaf, there'll be some shadow, so I'm just going to draw that in with this green, and where they're overlapping here I might darken that up even more, and actually here that they're overlapping too. It starts to give us a little bit more of a three-dimensional look to our plant. Make sure, see there, I accidentally left a white gap between the vein and my line, and that is what you must avoid. So if it means you have to make your line wider to bring it up to there, do so. That's what I had to do. It will make a big difference. Just following along. There we go. I'm just going to have a fidget. Oh, sorry. I tried to move my chair and it's as close to the desk as it can go apparently. Sorry. Okay, so just sort of tracing around here. I find doing this sort of thing where you're just tracing the artist's line is quite useful for sort of practice in doing nice straight lines and things like that, or you know what sort of actions you might. So if you're someone who enjoys drawing, this is a great practice for you, because you're basically drawing along the lines that the artist is drawn. So it gives you that sort of practice in doing different strokes, different lengths and directions and things like that. I think it's something that artists have to practice. I see my husband practicing it all the time. Yeah, he was trying to draw, put a bit of shadow in there too. He was trying to draw snails, snail shells. He was finding them quite tricky. Trying to get the, I think for me personally, what I would find tricky, I'm going to go under here, quite dark. What I would find tricky is getting the coils of the shell and the snail's body an even size all the time. But he wasn't even sure whether there was a right or wrong way for the coils to go around, you know, and then getting the opening on the shell in exactly the right place, that sort of thing. I think I'll mark some shadows around these thorns. So yeah, he was struggling a little bit, but he was practicing, which obviously is what we all have to do. I'm just going to do the edge of this. But he's making some zines, which are fun. I'm hoping he's going to open a coffee shop and sell them. I'm really hoping he will. They're sort of mini zines, and you sort of, you would, they're sort of like one sheet of paper all folded up to make a little, in a very special way, to make a little art magazine, and I think they're great fun. I'm really hoping he's going to do me one that I can colour in. I would love that, but I haven't actually asked him. Maybe I should. He doesn't watch my videos, so he won't know. He would, I think, if I'd made less, but he hasn't got the time. He's trying to do his own thing. I don't know if any of my family watch my videos. I don't tell everybody about them, to be fair. In here, look, I think I missed that one with the other pencil. But anyway, I find it a little bit difficult talking about it, to be honest. It doesn't really feel like a proper job. My son says, "You don't earn enough money, Mum. You don't make any money. It's not a proper job." I was like, no. And whereas my husband's like, "Well, you're contributing, so it counts." Right. Now I've done that very dark bit, I'm going to go back to a lighter shade. I'm just trying to decide. I think I'm going to go back to, use a permanent green. No, I think I'm going to use the permanent green olive again. Okay, because they're not really very dark at the moment. I'm going to start up here actually. And just add another layer. Now Polychromos do like lots of layers. You can layer as you go, which is what I'm doing here. I'm adding a couple of layers right away. Excuse me, rather than having to keep colouring over and over, I'm colouring it over and over now, if that makes sense. I hope it does. And then here. Now the reason I've gone up here, I have been telling you this in the last few videos, but you may not have seen them, is that I find that I tend to get scruffier as I go through. So the first layer of colour I did, I started at the bottom and worked up the page. And so those were the neatest. So what I'm doing now is starting at the top to try and neaten up these ones that weren't quite so neat. I don't know why I get scruffier, whether everybody does, I don't know. But I think I just get a bit faster, tireder, that sort of thing. Try not to leave a line, fade it to the end. Now if you want it to be really photorealistic, because of the way these are drawn, you could probably find a photo that has got these sorts of leaves in that you could copy. Now, I don't think that they look very much like how I'm colouring them, to be honest. I think they're probably a bit darker than this. So I'm just going to darken this up a bit more. And, but I'm not too worried. I'm just enjoying myself using colours that I like and that I've got confidence to know that it's going to look nice in my eye. And at the end of the day, as an artist, that's all that matters, if you think about it. And do a bit more here. There you go. Now you could think about light and shade, which leaves are nearer the bottom, whether they'd be light or darker. I'm afraid I'm not quite that precise. I will do a little bit of shadow later, but not like mad shadow. And we're going to do some red in a minute, which I think is always an interesting addition to a leaf. Oh, that clumsy girl. So useful having a pink eraser. You can find it. I have contemplated on whether to do this background in green anyway, but I think it might just disappear because there's so much green going on down here anyway, so I'll have a think. Now, the red colour is a little bit tricky to decide on what to use. Now, I'm not going to use like a red. I might use I could pick a Venetian red or a Pompeian red or an Indian red or a carmine, but I think I might go for a caput mortuum because it isn't really red, it's sort of browny red, this colour. It's a sort of purpley browny. It's a very odd colour, I have to say, but I think it's going to work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little touch to the edges of our leaves like this. I'm just going to draw it inwards. Can you see? Oh, it's raining. Is it snowing? No, it's raining. And can you see how that lifts it? Now, sometimes these leaves do have this colour in, so we're not just making it up. It also does the additional job of defining the edges of the leaves, which is very useful when they're all overlapping like this. I think it helps to give some structure to the picture as well. There we go. Oh, I need to say a big thank you to you all actually. So many of you have been very supportive in my Ko-fi shop. Ko-fi call it someone supporting you, sending money for the all the different swatch charts and different things that I've been putting in there. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. And having that money has allowed us to go to the art exhibition today and to buy some art. You know, without earnings, wouldn't be able to do that. So it helps, you know, it gets paid forward, as they say, to support somebody else, which is really lovely. So thank you for that. And it also just makes me feel lovely. And obviously makes me feel that what I'm doing is worthwhile. I mean, the thank yous are fantastic as well, of course, and that helps massively too. But, you know, I do think it's important just to say a little special thank you to those of you who are. And, of course, anyone else. Some people I know send, I've had tip jar donations to PayPal. I've had my YouTube members as well. And it all helps. But, of course, if you can't afford to give money, that's completely understandable. Or if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. There's no expectation. It's all purposely there at a low price, zero, you know, set at free, so that everyone has the opportunity to learn and to take them. And I know other people you see produce them too, so you could just go somewhere else. Anyway, I know some people do charge quite a bit for theirs, but it's something that I think is helpful, and I've been enjoying doing them as well. So that's important. I wouldn't do them if I didn't enjoy them. But I appreciate it, all the support, thank you. And also those of you who watch my adverts, make sure you watch all my videos and comment and things like that. That all makes such a difference too. So I know everybody has a different way that they are helping, and it's all so much appreciated. So thank you. Right, let's get back to this. You can see what I'm doing. As I said, just adding a little bit to each edge of each leaf. And as I said, it helps to just define those edges. Looks a bit more bit prettier. I think we've got a different colour going on in them as well. It's not totally unrealistic. Sorry for that noise. I was moving my feet and there's a bag under the desk and I kicked it. It's a paper bag, so it rattles and rustles around. Right, next we are going to just add, a tad of yellow. I'm just sharpening it up. It is the Naples yellow. I'm going to add it in a couple of places on each leaf. Oh, yeah. Let's just move my pencil out of the way. So we're going to put it along here to start with, and then on that caput mortuum, just between it and the leaf colour, like that. Now don't worry if it's not even on every leaf. If you've forgotten some or they don't look the same, that's great. How many leaves look the same as one next to it? None. You need to make them look different. So if you are, then that's great. You might be doing a better job than me. Right, so there and here. So the reason I'm doing it on this stem is that I want to knock it back so it doesn't look white, because they're really a bit pale, but they still need to stand out as being sitting a little bit above our leaf. So I think the drop of yellow just works for that purpose. Got to do some more work on these other stems though, looking a bit there, but it's going to need something else as well. My son is streaming. I can hear him chattering away next door. So I don't always record on a weekend if the family are around, but when my son always streams on a Saturday afternoon, so it's a really good opportunity to come and do something. And I picked this page out a few days ago and I've been really looking forward to getting my teeth into it. And I say page, it's really quite small, isn't it? But so beautiful. So we're nearly there with our leaves, but we've got more work to do on the stems. And obviously we've got those other leaves over there that we haven't finished. I want one layer. I'm going to actually, just scratch my elbow, sorry. This one here, where I've got this turned over bit. I'm going to grab my earth green and just go over that quite gently. But I want to sort of mute it a bit, because I often find the back of a leaf looks a little bit greyed. And I think the slightly grey look to this green helps with that. So there's that. And now I'm going to grab, if I can grab it, the earth green yellowish, and I'm going to add this to all of the leaves to just help to sort of smush it all together. Now with them Polychromos, they don't smush. You can't move the colour, which you can do with something if you were using like Prismas, but it does help to sort of meld the layers together a little bit visually, even though it's not actually physically doing it, and just basically trying to make them a little bit more vibrant. And where there might be a bit where I've missed or a little gap, I can just go over it with this and you won't notice, theoretically. And it just darkening really. I think they need to be a little bit more intense in colour. Now, a little tricky here. Where's little hands, feet, paws? That's the word. That's the one. Where's little paws are. That's a bit too yellow there, so I've just gone over it with a few more layers of green. Sorry, I couldn't speak then, my tongue was hanging out my mouth. Concentration. I'm not the only one that does that, am I? This leaf, I forgot to put any caput mortuum on, so I'm just grabbing it. I think I might have done a tiny bit, but I feel like it needs a bit more on this side particularly. It doesn't look like there is any. Here we go. And this is the last sort of main layer of colour. I am going to put some more shadowing in because I don't feel the shadows are deep and dark enough. So I will be grabbing my sepia to some shadows. I've got to just move up here and finish these. I want to do those little leaves around the blackberries too. I think those might be a little bit darker. I'm sure they usually are a little bit darker. So I think I might just grab the chrome oxide green for those. We'll start down here, look, there's this one here. I want it really quite dark near the leaf, and then fade it a little bit. And I've got a few here. Don't worry if it looks a bit dark, we're going to go back over it in a minute with a slightly lighter colour, just to knock it back a little bit. But once the blackberries are coloured, they won't stand out as much anyway. I forgot that one, didn't I? So I'm going to use the May green on top of them, just to lighten it a little bit. And it will hopefully tidy them up a bit too, make them look slightly more even. You can use a blender if you want to even out pencil, but I usually find another pencil, coloured pencil, can do the job rather than a pencil blender. Right, while I've got the May green in my hand, we're going to work on this here. So what I want to do is to put a sort of lighter piece down here. So I'm going to put the colour all over it, but just a bit less there. And if it is too faint, I can come back in with some darker colours. Yeah, my neighbour who was exhibiting at this art exhibition this morning, she was the one that was having all the problems with the leaking drains, but fortunately it was nice to have something else to talk about. caput mortuum. It certainly wasn't the right place to talk about it, and I was very glad to have something else, as I say, to talk about rather than that, because it's not I mean, they're fairly new neighbours, so I'm using this on the tips of our thorns. Yeah, fairly new neighbour, so you know, there are nicer things to talk about. You don't want to think that that's all we're gonna talk about. Although one of my neighbours, we have a bit of a standing joke that we're always talking about bins. Alright, and going back to my chrome oxide green and sharpening it quite sharp to do quite a harsh line underneath this particular bramble. But yeah, she'd email me, and she'll start her email with not bins again, or call it actually not talking about bins today, or you know, we have a bit of a joke because she isn't always around. She often goes to visit family and things like that, and so she might ask me to put her bins away. I've got a key for her garage, so I can pop them in. So it's quite funny. I think we're all quite aware that if they don't get put away, not only does it look a bit messy, but it's can look like you're not there. So it's only nice to be able to, it's always nice to help out anyway. And I walk past the house whenever I leave, I walk past, so it's very convenient to be able to do it. Very easy. Now these need doing now. They're looking quite scruffy. I think I'm going to go over them with the earth green yellowish. They're not dark enough. And then I'm going to come in back with a darker colour again to try to make them look slightly more three-dimensional. They're just looking a little bit scruffy. So let's use the chrome oxide green. And what I'm going to try and do here is to not only follow that edge, but just bring it in a teeny bit. Quite lightly, you don't need it to be too dark. Where the branch breaks off, just ignore it. And then just gently sort of layer it up until it's how you wish. And because we've already got a darkish layer under here, it starts showing up as we just put these extra layers of colour on. There we go, and then the same with this one. Okay, what are we doing for time? Goodness. Okay, should we do some blackberries now, and then maybe then we'll leave it and come back for a second session. Yeah. Now blackberries, I like to build up my colour on my blackberries. I'm actually going to start maybe with a surprising colour. I like magenta. It's very pink, but very lightly. Don't go pressing too hard. Yeah, I had thought about slotting this video into a day before a planner and just slot it in, but it may not quite work that way. But it doesn't matter. If the two parts get split, they get split. Didn't think it would take me quite so long, but that's okay. So there is our light pinky layer. Now, where are we going to go? I think we'll jump straight to mauve. Oops, because of the fact, I just drew on the other page. Because of the fact that we've got, it's quite a small space. So with the mauve, again, I'm just going to go over lightly. So we can see it's gone slightly pinky. Maybe you would just use the manganese violet. You might get the same, almost the same colour as this. But I quite like gently building up the colour. Right. Gosh, I feel like I need a coffee. Okay, I'm going to keep this colour. I'm just adjusting my seating position again. And I'm going to go take each of these little circles individually, go around the edge with lots of layers and just bring it into the middle a bit. Every single one. It takes time, it's well worth it, it makes such a difference. Rather than just colouring it as one. If you look at a blackberry, they do have these little rounded sections. Sorry, just sharpening. And yeah, those rounded sections, by doing it darker on the edge, more layers, less towards the middle, you give that, it looks like a proper blackberry. This isn't our final layer, by the way, it's a bit pale, and I'll get some black on there in a bit. And yeah, just dealing with each one at a time. I find it really therapeutic, just doing the same circular movement each time. I don't know how easily you can see what I'm doing, but just going more layers around the edge, less towards the middle. I think I've got a Barbie date with husband tonight. He had the Barbie movie for Christmas. Well, he asked me to buy it for him actually, but he wants to watch it with me. I haven't seen it. He went to the cinema, really liked it, wants me to watch it with him. So we might be doing that tonight. I'm not sure yet. I think he wants to do some art, but we could do art and watch at the same time. Certain art I can do on the sofa. Depends what I'm doing. I couldn't do something like this with so many different colours, although it's not that many colours, but I can sort of grab a little tin of 24 Chroma Flow or something like that, and then or get a colour cube card and just grab 5 or 6 pencils and then have a go at something. It was interesting because my husband was really surprised that I liked the art at the exhibition, because I don't like modern art. And I was saying to you earlier how I like art where every time you look at it you see something different, which is part of what happens in this art, but also you can see the time and effort that's gone into it, which makes such a difference, you know. Although it was very obvious that the much more expensive pieces had had a lot more time in them, that's absolutely reflected in the price. And so that was good. But he was saying, husband was saying how, you know, he's normally okay with modern art, unlike me, but he said there was a piece which was basically just a paint pot of water thrown at a page, a pot of paint thrown onto a canvas, and he was, you know, a bit like, not sure about that. Yeah. So, you know, about the amount of effort that gone into that. Of course, it may have taken 50 attempts, hundreds of attempts before it looked good enough to sell, because, you know, the colour might have been wrong, it might have not been even on the canvas, it may have just looked wrong, you know. So it's interesting. I mean, yeah, it's always difficult to put value on things, isn't it? You know, if someone's been working with a career in something for a long, long time, then their stuff is probably going to have more value. Right, black. We're going to do what we did before, but now with black. The idea is that you don't do it too hard, so that you can see the purple as well, because we want them to look slightly blacky purple. And try and leave that little white or a lighter bit in the centre if you can. You can always use a dot of white pen, but I'm not going to, I don't think, because it'll make it stand out too much. I want it to look lighter, like it's catching the light. But if it's too white, it'll catch the eye over the rest of the picture, and I don't really want it to be the focal point of the picture. I don't know, I think the mouse is supposed to be, but who knows how to colour a mouse? Not I. It's gonna be fun. I haven't even really thought about what colour it will be. I assume mice come in a variety of colours, so we'll see. When I finish these blackberries, I'm going to bring an end to this video, because I think that's probably enough for today. I need to go and get a coffee, and it just feels like a good time to stop, and then in the next video we can do the I've still got some shadows I want to do in this bit, but maybe I'll do those first. Maybe we'll finish the brambles and we'll do the background and the mouse and the elder, which I was thinking of doing as Rowan, wasn't I? I feel like I should do it as elder because that's what it is, so I probably should. I might go and look up what elder looks like. I know what the colour the berries are, but the leaves, I quite like to do them darker, even though these leaves aren't quite the right colour really, but I like them. So yeah, we'll do a bit of shadowing, get our sepia out before we finish. So hold on, because although you know what I'm going to do with these, hold on and you can have a quick look at the shadowing, and then we'll finish. It's really quite early, it's only 1:30. I had a drink with my lunch, which I had quite early, I suppose. I was really hungry. I've been so hungry the last few days. The other night I dreamt that I was eating slices of cake. I don't even eat cake, and I've just been hungry. I don't know why, whether it's because it's suddenly got colder again. But I try and listen to my body. If I'm hungry, I eat more. You know, I try to just do what my body's asking me. Okay, I'm just tipping my head because the light's shining off them. I think I'm happy with those. It might be still a little bit too purple, but I think the colour is pretty. So I'm going to grab now the dark sepia. I'm going to sharpen it. Ooh. Pencils are rolling towards me. Caught them with my sleeve. Right. Dark sepia. Okay, shadow. Along the edge of here and here. Along here. But also under here. I feel that this is quite a long way above, so I feel like there's going to be a fairly thick shadow from those branches over the top. Hopefully that will come to life a bit more once we colour that bit in. So I'm going around the edge of this leaf. As I say, I think because it's quite high up, we have a thicker shadow. Now this one, I feel that one, put the shadow darker here as if this bit's further up than that. And then this bit of shadow in there. Okay, probably, yeah, we'll go to here, around the blackberry, along the stem, here, just a little bit. Now we've got this quite a big bit of stem here, so we put some shadow at each side so we can really see it. And again, where this leaf is overlapping here. Over here, see where this bit's turned over, it would be forming a shadow on the leaf. Along here, oops, there I went a bit wrong, no one noticed. Now I think the shadow here might be darker underneath and only a little bit on top. I think just because of the angle that it's at. The same here, I think be a bit more under there. Now we've got some overlapping going on here and here. Only a little bit there. Now along the edges of there and there. Along the vein, under there, just a little bit above. I think there'll be, oops, a train, a lot more underneath. I didn't redo that one, did I? I'll think about that in a minute. Whether it needs a little bit more work. I think it probably does. That's why it's quite good coming back to do this bit after, which you can then notice the bits you've missed. Even on here, the mouse is going to be shading it. And there as well. I think there'll be a bit there from his arm. Now, these down here. A little bit around there. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about my neighbour being an art teacher. I think teaching kids art must be quite hard, to be honest. Yeah, I'm just going to do that brown ball down there. I'm going to use the May green. Just go over it again. To me it looks a little bit weak. Not intense enough in colour. There we are. I'm just having a look over, but I think I am going to make that do for today. And we'll come back and work again we'll do these. I'll look up what these leaves look like. I might look up a few mice as well, just about colour, you know, what's going on in the ear, what colour's the tail. I mean, I know how I colour Matchstick Mouse, but this little guy isn't quite like him. Sorry, Matchstick Mouse being a girl. And I'll give a bit of thought to the background. I've got a few ideas about that, and I'm not sure if it's going to work. It would work if I had Prismacolors, but I'm not. So we'll see. I'll have a think. But yes, for today, thank you very much for watching. I hope that was okay. It was a little bit different, I feel, somehow, but I enjoyed it, and I hope it was something that you enjoyed too. So thank you so much. Have a really super day. I'm not sure when the second part will come out. As I say, I think it might be time, so there's a planner page, but I might shuffle things around a bit, so I'm not sure. But anyway, have a super day. Tune in for the second part whenever it comes along. Thank you for watching, and happy colouring.